Hi everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I am Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way. And this week we're going to continue going through some of our newest releases. So we're going to use the two little dogs from the new dog set. So that would be this one right here. We're going to use these two little guys. We're also going to use the bench set. So this one right here. In addition, we're going to go back to the branches set. We're going to use this one right here. And then in the fall set, we're going to use this little flower. And then we still need something from our original foliage set, and that would be the vine and the large grass. So we're going to use those two also today. Okay, so let's get going. We're going to start out by stamping the little dogs. So there are two of them here, and I've placed them on my blocks. I'm going to ink those in the sepia, and I'm going to start out with the one on the right. So I'm just going to ink this in the sepia and stamp it about in the center of my watercolor paper. So right about here. That looks good. I'm going to take my fine tip now. This is the sepia, and I'm just going to darken this little eye in. Always want to make sure to do that because it's really hard to get that really dark image when the area is so small. So it's really important that we show that eye and that little nose. Okay, so now we're going to cover this little guy up. I just cut a mask from a Post-it note. So I stamped that image on a little Post-it note and just cut it out. So we're going to cover him up, and then we're going to stamp the other little guy right next to him. So this time we're going to use the positioner to make sure that we get him in the right spot. So we're going to ink him up also in the sepia. So just ink this whole thing up like this. And then stamp it on the little acrylic plate here right in the corner. And now we can see exactly where to place him. And I'm gonna place him right about here. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna place this back now and re-ink that little stamp. So this again is the sepia. Ink that up and then just stamp it right into the corner. And that mask is gonna protect this little stamp right here, so we're not stamping over the top of him. So now I cut another one, and I did the same thing again. I stamped it on my sticky note and made a mask. So I cut these two out. Now I'm going to cover both of them, and I'm going to stamp the bench over the top. So I'm going to ink this in two colors. So I'm going to use the number 29, the Prussian blue. I'm going to ink this in Prussian blue first. It's going to give us a really nice color combination. So ink this whole thing up in the Prussian blue. And then we also need our sepia. So sepia is going to come on second. So we're going to ink this now, the whole thing again in the sepia. And we're going to use the positioner. And we're going to just place this right in the center so we get this in the right place. So just like that. And we can now place this right here where these little dogs are and make sure that they are exactly where we want them to be. So probably right about there. That looks good. Let's place this back in here. And we're going to re-ink this bench again. So same two colors, 29 Prussian blue. Just ink this all up. And then go over that again with sepia. Sepia is a number 45. This is kind of that three-dimensional color, kind of the magic color that's in so many different projects. This is a really, really important project for color for these projects. So we're going to stamp this right over the top now. And the same thing again, our mask is going to protect our little dogs so that we don't stamp over the top of them. So we've got this all set now. So let's dip our brush in water and pull the color out of the lines. So let's start with the little dogs, and let's just pull this color out. So start with the ears, that would be where it's the darkest. And we're just going to kind of drag this color over to the center. Just pull the color out. You can always add more color to it later. Remember, the face should be the lightest part. So just kind of drag this over. Take your time with this. You don't want to get this too dark, especially on the first pass. And do the same with this little guy. Just pull this color out. Like I said, we can always add more color to them later. I'm going to take my fine tip now and do the same thing with this one. This is the sepia. You can see I'm going to darken his little nose and his eyes as well. And I want these ears to be really dark. So I'm going to take my fine tip and I'm going to really darken these little ears on both of these dogs. So just like this. Leave a little highlight at the top. And then come back in again with your brush and just kind of blend this color. Okay, so let's go on to the bench and we're going to pull out some of this color now from the bench. And you can see we've inked this with 2 colors, so we've got a lot of color going on here. I just love this combination of color. It's kind of a bluish green. I'm not really sure what color it is. It's a little teal, but it's just a really cool mix. And just keep pulling this color out. Just like this. Stay inside the lines. Remember, we don't want to cross the lines. And just kind of work your way over. Just drag this color out. Again, we can always add some more color to it later. So this is just our first pass. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go on to the next step. And let's add a little more color to the bottom of this bench. This is going to be darker down in here as we look across the bench. So let's add some of this color. So I'm going to add some more of that Prussian blue and some sepia to my palette and kind of mix these two together. Take a little of that Prussian blue and a little of this sepia and brush a little of this color on here. Try to stay inside the lines again. Back in here, this is going to be really dark. And under here, the back of the leg is going to be really dark. Got a little shadow behind here where these little dogs are. So we can brush that in. And it's all going to help make this look three-dimensional. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's move on to the next step. And that would be to add our foliage in. So we're going to take that branch. This is from the branch set. And we're going to ink that in the sepia. So ink it really good. And we're going to stamp that right next to the bench. You can just kind of eyeball this. And maybe one more time, just like that. And let's just ink it again, just part of it. So just a little short part of it here. And add a little more back in here. Okay, so let's go ahead now and add some foliage to that. Before we add water to it, let's add the foliage. And we're going to use 2 colors again. So this time we're going to use the number 86 African Violet and the number 72 Pine Green. This is going to give us a really nice combination of color too. So first, the 86, and we're only using half of this. So just kind of the C part of the foliage. And then we're going to ink it now with the 72. So the blue first and then the green. And then just stamp it in here, just like this. And you can see that's going to give you a really cool combination of color. So do it again. And then the green. So African Violet and then the green. And just stamp that in there. And let's do that one more time. So remember, just the C part. And this is just a really cool color. Let's put a little bit more over here. Okay, so now we can add water to that. We've got that all stamped in. So just dab. You've got a lot of color on these leaves, so be sure to clean your brush off. Remember, you're just dabbing and softening these lines, kind of spreading this color around. So if you feel like you're getting too much color on your brush, just clean it off and then go back and do it again. kind of fun to play around with color like this. You're not just locked into the color of the marker. You can do a lot with combinations, adding multiple colors to your stamp. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and put the grasses in, and we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to add multiple colors now to the grasses. So we're going to start with the African violet, and then we're going to add the number 72 to this one too. Remember, we're walking this along. So you want to get it in there a couple of times, you know, 3 or 4 or 5. That's about perfect. And then just pull that color up and out. Just pull that clear up and out. This is going to be pretty dark underneath this little bench. So let's take some of this color from the palette now and really brush this in so that we get that dark color underneath there. And let's go ahead and put some African violet now onto our palette. And we're going to brush in a little of the sky. So just a little bit back in here. And you can put some down below here too. You'll be able to see the sky underneath here. And just, you know, just the idea of it. So don't overwork the sky. That's such an easy thing to do. To just put too much sky in there, and you really don't need a lot. Okay, let's add some flowers in. And this is the little flower from the new fall set. So we're going to add some African violet to the blooms. And we're going to use the sepia on the stem. And we're just going to stamp this in here a couple of times. This is totally up to you. You can put as many flowers and foliages in as you want to. It's kind of fun to do the simple ones too, but you don't have to. Let's just add a couple more of those. And I think I'm just going to do the blooms only. Just like that. Add some water to it. And let's put a little more color onto these little dogs. So I'm going to put some sepia onto my palette. And take a little of this color and just brush on a little darker color onto their tails. And let's just put a dark patch on their little backs. Just like that. Put some more color on their little feet. And we are about finished with this project. So fun and easy. These little characters are so fun to do, and they just fit in so many of these little paintings. Just fun. Okay, sign and date. That's about all that's left to do. And put it on a card or put it in a frame and give it away. Someone is going to love that you made this for them. And you're going to love making it. They are so much fun to do and quick and easy. And there you have it. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you watching so much. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you all next week.